Well, it was by sheer chance, and all my life I had wanted to become a theatre person because I was already a playwright, actor and producer of plays. But then it so happened that I chanced upon an advertisement calling for admission, applications for admission to the institute, the National Film School near Bombay, and I applied and I got admitted. That's how I became a formal student of cinema. I discovered cinema in this National Film School, and I also became a filmmaker because of the film school. Otherwise, I would never have been working in cinema. I would have been a theatre person.
Inspiration for the story of Rat Trap?
See, the idea came from a thought. Why is it that we do not react naturally to things around us? For a long time, this thought has been bothering me. Slowly it dawned on me, it is because you will have to experience a few little inconveniences. That's why you do not want to react naturally to things. If you pretend that those realities do not exist, you are less bothered. So that's the reason.
Rajame. Rajamu.
Alle. Ayyo.
So it became a sort of very close, incisive look at myself. That's how I went back to my family, which has a very long feudal background, and then I had even characters, my very close relations, who lived doing nothing in their life, nothing, they did not have to move their body at all. They, happiness for them was to sit quiet and maybe talk to the visitors and entertain them. This was the only thing they did, because the producers from the land, they were, that job of production was done by somebody else. What is the basis of the feudal system? It is that you live on the land, basically, because others are made to work for you, and you enjoy the benefits of that. So you become a helpless, hapless creature who cannot really be acting natural, like others. So you pretend, trying to make himself believe that those realities do not exist. This is what happens. So this main character of the film is modeled after a close relation of mine, and even his sister, who is ailing in the film, in some way it is modeled after my mother. In some ways, not entirely, but then these are the points from where it takes off, but then it observes its own rules. It's not a copy of the life, but basically these are genuine inspirations from one's own life. When the film opens, when there is this man who is so preoccupied with himself that he has no space for the others. Every time you see him, he is preoccupied with himself. Either he is very lovingly applying oil on his body with great care, taking things about himself only. He is occupied with himself all the time. He has no space for the others, and he will have his bath only in hot water of a particular degree of temperature. So he doesn't bother about it, that this sister of his has toiled to heat it up, and when it is cold he expects that her to go and then do it again. So he and his 3 sisters. So why is it that he is refusing to share the properties? Because there is one elder sister of his who is married outside the family, and she also needs her share because she has her children and she is asking for it. And there is another sister to be married off. She is just past that normal marriageable age. She is just getting past that age, and he also takes no real interest or initiative to get her married off. And then there is the youngest one, who is also growing up and becoming a young woman. She is a student. They all share the same characteristics. They are not, none of them, even while being very nice and submissive and virtuous, they are also protesting in some way. In some very interesting way they are also protesting. But you can see, in silence they protest, in suffering they protest. This happens in families. Location is very important in these films because basically it talks about a certain period. So the architecture of the house where the story happens, it's very, very important, because the type of house you see in the film, it is a type of house used to be built and lived in by landlords who owned lot of land. In fact, I myself lived at least in a part of my childhood in this large joint family. It is something similar to the one you see in the film, but then much larger and a lot more grandiose in style and all that. But I was in a way recreating that, and it was very important for me to find a house like that, where a real location where I could really realize my idea of it. And I looked for this house. I did location hunting, house hunting for this purpose. For weeks together I have been traveling all over. They have either been demolished or they have been altered, or there are houses around. That also was not the case 60 years back. So after a long search, I was very, very disappointed and returned one late evening. Then it was dusk. Somebody said, nearby there is a house. I may go and look at it. So I just followed him and went, and suddenly this house appeared before me like in an apparition, and that was it. apart from the architecture of the house, I also wanted to make use of the grey of the wooden walls. It's old from from weather. There is even a small coating of growth on this untreated wood. All that is a grey, that grey becomes the background, and I am basically using 3 colors in the film for the 3 sisters. The eldest one is predominantly using green. The green suggests to us earthiness, being practical, being clever, and all that. Then the next sister, who is sickly and who is so totally devoted to this man, and she is given shades of blue in her dress, and then blue again means submissiveness, being gentle and being doomed.
ആരാ ശ്രീദേവി?
And then the third one, the third sister, is given shades of red. It means youth, revolt, and life. So she is the one who runs away to life, accepts the life as it is. She escapes from this situation, this predicament. For him, I mixed these three colors, the green, the blue, and the red, and I got the white color. So I gave him the white. Whenever he is wearing a shirt, it is a white shirt. But then, more than that, I gave him vertical stripes on the shirt. Vertical lines mean unrestfulness, as opposed to the parallel, the horizontal lines, which means rest. So I wanted to suggest in these things. So this is all these colors and characters are played out against the background of the grey.
About was the music.
Yes.
I think Rat Trap has the most extraordinary score.
Actually, when we discuss the music of this film, I always work with the music director. It's not left to him, to compose music the way he thinks it should be. But one of the things I discussed with him was that it should not be musical, that it is also a sound effect. I did not want anybody to hum it. It's like the music is like something is dropping all the time, dropping. It's also like an unfinished sentence. It doesn't complete. Only at the end of the film the whole full score comes. It's like that. And also the sounds in this film is very important, because if you listen very carefully, you will know that the trap door of the rat trap, he produces the same sound as the doors of that house. They are the same actually. It's used like that. There is an equation in terms of the sound, in terms of the looks, in terms of their behavior. I depict that this is a house, invaded by rats, and I keep drawing an equation between the humans and the rats. in fact, when you look at the film, it is about 6 departures. It is from one condition of living to another. In some cases, the departures are to life, some cases it are to the end of life. This is like that. So the first departures are that of the trapped rat being taken out, drowned in a pond. But the next 3 departures are of the people. One you don't see, she runs away. The second one you see, she is helped out. The third one, he is chased around, caught, and then thrown into the pond. These are the things. So all their movements, the way they are being caught and then taken out, it's like they are just like the rats.
Can you talk about the reaction to the film, both in Kerala and abroad? And do you think that local audiences understand it in a different way to international audiences?
Yeah, of course. Again, the film, when the film, the film grew on the people very slowly. This happens to most of my work. There is immediately there is no lapping it up. It doesn't happen because every time it is something new. It takes time to digest it, to take it in, and absorb it. It takes time. But I always think that while the film has an international appeal, the person who should understand best this work is a local person, a local viewer, because it's talking about him. In fact, I was very pleasantly surprised when it was shown in London, and many people came to me and said, you may think it is very relevant only in Kerala or in India. It is not like that. We in the London, in the midst of all this new and modern life, we have people like that. We are all like that. I am like that. People have been telling me. That gave me a lot of reassurance, because the humans are the same. Only in details, only in certain details, there may be difference. They may not be living in that kind of a house. They may not be living in a tropical climate like ours. But all the same, humans are the same. What it talks about is a very universal problem. It's about a universal question. That's it. For asking me why some of the films are ending, in a particular this film also ambiguously, because I think the traditional view of a work of art is that, particularly literature, cinema, the traditional view of this of the perception is that it should give you the final answers, where you have the conclusive answers given at the end. But I don't think an artist is a know-all. Like everybody else, he has a better perception of things, but then he doesn't know everything. He doesn't know how would a thing end, but at best he can probe. He can evoke questions in the mind of the audience. They should think about it. Why? That is the end. In fact, that is the point where they start thinking, not end thinking.